Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming you all to another week of International Affairs being broadcasted from the SATV's Gulshan studio. My name is Shamsul Alam Pantho, the host of this very program. There are so many news that have been updated as per of the weekend. As we begin this new work week, we know for a fact that Saudi Arabia, Pakistan and of course Turkey have joined into a military cooperation between these three nations as the leaders are preparing for the Mecca summit, the defense summit that's going to be held sometime in this week. And we also know that Yemen's armed forces have launched operations against the Houthis, so that is internal fighting inside the Middle East in the nation of Yemen. Before we step in to further discuss all of these issues, let me introduce my panel. Here in the studio, I have Major Dr. Khosrow Samad, a doctor of pharmacology as well. He is a military analyst. I welcome you on to the program. Alongside, we will be joined by Norman Floyd Barnes, our geopolitical correspondent, all the way from Washington, District of Columbia, as we await his joining onto the very program. I want to begin the conversation with Dr. Samad in the studio. We see that Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, conventionally these three nations are majority Muslim nation. All three have exceptional military capabilities, and one can definitely ensure that a joint cooperation between these three nations will turn heads in the Middle East. Definitely US President Donald Trump is taking note of these kind of advancements, as well as the leaders of Israel as they see this new cooperation coming out. Of course, we cannot ignore the fact that there are other Middle Eastern nations such as Oman, UAE, and of course Qatar, who are not a part of this pact as of yet. Let alone all of these Muslim nations are a part of the Organization of Islamic nations or countries. So I want to pass it to you. How do you see this kind of recent development, especially because we've been seeing tensions across the region?
Thank you very much. Since many days, there was respectfully and mutual respect of among the Muslim countries who are there. On the other hand, mistrust, misbelief, since the following the demise of our Prophet, we see the heritage of the four caliphs. Most of them were killed, and the killer was Muslims as well. And the notions of the killers was they are the extremists, and they said the previous one was away from the Muslim concept. Now, the focus of the current issue, before that, after the First World War and the Second World War, we can see the role of the Muslim and the Islamic countries was not unified. As I said, the mistrust and misbelief, they are divided once in the Shia part, another the Sunni part. One is the Organization of Islamic Countries, and there is the OPEC. Most of the countries are OPECs. Then there is the extreme role of the Baath parties, the pro-socialist at the time of the Iraq and the Libya. They are also the pro-leftist, and they were the pro-USSR bloc, and the rest was the USA bloc. Again, we see the killing of Anwar Sadat and the turning of the Egypt from the one pole to the another pole. So conclusion is that they are not unified, and the emergence of Israel, we sat together in this chair and focused that after the First World War, even after Second World War, most of the Jews were killed by German, to be specified by Hitler. He has extreme hatred. That's another issue. Why the hatred? That was not going to the focus of the today's topic. Right. But thing is that was the extreme hatred. Hatred came in that way. They killed more or less his troops, more or less all the Jews as much as he can. But naturally there are some few they are not killed. And he said, I kept some Jews to see how the Jews are there. This is their language. We are the same rhythm, right? Then what happened? There is no land of the Jews soon after the Second World War. So the questions, how they will be settled. If we go back to the history of the Nobel laureates, we can see that 90% or more the Nobel laureate, including the science, including the physics, including the chemistry, even the peacemaking, occupied by the Jewish people. However, it was proved that they are talented in that way. Talent and the wisdom and the knowledge is the two different things. So they are wise, that is undoubtedly. So what happened? They don't have the land. Ultimately, the Palestine people gave them the land, and as we said over here, the Balfour's Law, they came and have a land. Ultimately, they grew up, and ultimately they became a military power, and ultimately it happened, the 5 months last battle. Now, as you said, the three countries, initially we saw the Pakistan having a tremendous role to melting the ice. It's sitting in this chair, we saw the Asim Munir. He was loved by even by the USA people, even by the Trump himself. And I said, my general. And initially there was a very hope here. We were very optimistic. We said, inshallah, we will see a very good result in between the Pakistan and Iran and all over the countries. But after some days, that was not amicably settled. And they sat together so the many times. Most of the times we saw, yes, if the ceasefire is going to be in a good shape, and ultimately it was not in a position. Now, as you said, we can see the infrastructures of the three parties, as you said, Pakistan, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. Even then, more focus for us, more than land, as I said. Our Prophet was that place. We go to the pilgrims to this place. So, all over the Muslim countries, they have the sentiment. Apart from that, it's merely a land. It is the place where you go for the pilgrims, for the Hajj. So, the sentimental issue. But how they evaluate themselves? In the 79, this Harem Sharif was attacked by the Saudi people. They saw the Prophet is not the heritage of the kingdom. Prophet's son was not the second one. So, but here we can see the Saud. Saud is a family, the Saud family leading, and they become the king system. So, it goes above from the Muslim sentiment and Muslim ummah. And they attacked, but it was not successful because it is very hard job to attack. The system is very delicate and the security system is highly restricted. So, they could not bear. That what I say, it is very sentimental place. They said Saudi Arabia, so Saudi Arabia, the nomenclature is come. Now the Turkey previously we know that is the geographical 50% in the Europe part and 50% random, 50% Indian part, some 50% in the, so their culture is a mixed. If you go to the Turkey, if you go to the capital city or other cities, you can see the mixtures and blending of the European culture and the Muslim heritage.
Right.
They are what I say, they are the dress in the European, they put on the Western dress, their culture and the Western part. They are not that much conservative as the Pakistan is there. And we know that the Saudi Arabia, the ladies must put on the burqas, and even in the Pakistan it is incorporated, and the tremendous influence of the Islamic rituals. And so apparently they are the heterogeneous cultures.
Right.
But in the present context, where the fighting become uncertain and the ceasefire, especially flowing in this area, is a very volatile form. Naturally, they have thought that America is not enough to protect themselves, because the USA having lot of the bases in these three countries. So when Iraq attacks, they are not literally attacks to their country. They are saying it's a military attack to military attack. So why did you give if you are a sovereign country, why did you give your land to make a base? So there the military logic is there. And from the military tactical point, he can do it. It is not unethical from the military tactical point. So they cannot say that it is a military crime or military offense. So this is their problem. Naturally, this is my evaluation. And as you know, Bangladesh was preliminary. It was a very big party, and Bangladesh also have to sign. But it is a very risky thing from my point, because if I make friendship with you and become the enemy of the others, it is not a very wise decision. It should be think in a very befitting manner, going to the thinking process and come to the decisions.
Right. As Dr. Samad was explaining the situation, how he feels regarding the joint cooperation between Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan, there are some differences while there are more similarities between these three nations. According to the Foreign Minister of Turkey, Hakan Fidan, he has stated that only signatures have been put on the agreement. However, they have not started to work yet. Of course, it will require a committee meeting, ministers likely being present to propose the various issues, structure and functioning of the secretariat. All of this will join in with the situation. Just to add on, as we wait for Norman Floyd Burns, we see that the both shipping straits, the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, they have been strained. Saudi Arabia has been forced to send its ships all the way through the Suez Canal and over Africa to reach Asia. So that is a concern, as we still see that there has been an LNG issue in Bangladesh as well. Just to give you an information that the Cape of Good Hope route added 15 to 20 days in delivery of this critical mineral, critical resource. How do you see the future? Because especially we only see three countries joining hands. We still have Yemen, Oman, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain and Kuwait who have been surrounding the Arabian Peninsula, the Middle East as we know it. How do you recognize the energy crisis that one may say that is an impending crisis to happen?
Thank you very much. I got your point. Suez Canal and the Hormuz is absolutely two different structures. Suez Canal is man-made. As we know, in the First World War, Egypt understood if we have a canal, it gives a tremendous benefit in all aspects, right. Economically, as you said, for the carrying of the vessels, oil, especially the military purposes. So it was made, and it was it was not accepted by UK. They have also resisted, and there are a lot of the incidences. Let us switch back to the Hormuz. Hormuz is a natural, God-gifted. It's a geopolitically, geographically it is situated. None having his own hand to take his own places. But Iran must be lucky that it becomes co-locating to their country, and so far the military border is concerned, it is within their territory. But as river is none of the owns property like Ganga, the US correction, the India is saying it is their property. It cannot be, because by it's a starting in their country, but the flow comes to our country. So according to the river law, they cannot say it is their own property, because we are affected or beneficiary of the both of the ways. If you handle it the proper way, it's a beneficiary. If it handle in the bad gesture with ill motive, it creates even the drought, famine and whatnot to our country. It happened. Things become more or less same to their country. But in a couple of the days, Oman especially, though having the good touch of the Iran by the Houthi, because they are very good friends of the Houthi and Oman. And as you said, they are very neighboring. So there is a treaty in between Oman and the Houthi and the Iran, officially and unofficially, that they have the mutual understanding, and they will help Iran to take the toll from the other countries, and they will help the negotiating factors with the other countries. But as we said many times, that more or less 1/3 or 1/5 to 1/3 fuel of the total world is go through this oil. So if it is stopped, ultimately the tremendous and the bad influences to the other countries, even we are the sufferer. What happened we can see in the gas lines and the others. Now, as you said, a lot of the countries, they are more or less, I don't think the sufferer, rather involved. They can settle in a very amicable way. Still, they are the Muslim countries. But think is that, what is the main objective of the war? We do not know. Because this is a war between the Israel and Iran. This is not a questions come to the America. Right. American people do not understand why the America become the involved. And their Senate, other policymakers, military generals, thinkers, they are also not helping in the focus to Trump that you go to the involved and having participation in this war. Now they are facing the problems due to the increase of the fuel and other military bombardment equipment. Say its price is very high. Naturally, they're facing the problems. The middle class people is suffering. A lot of the Islamists in the American even they are suffering. Even the high officials, the high-ranking people, they are also being paid for the war.
Of course, excellent statements coming from Dr. Samad here in the studio, actually trying to understand, making sense of the current world order. It is time to take a short commercial break. Afterwards, we shall be looking at some of the most important stories from around the world. It includes natural events as well as Donald Trump's immigration stance on the birthright citizenship, all of which we will be touching upon right after a short commercial break. I request my audience to stay tuned for more on this very program. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantho.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen,
really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks,
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
with President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantho.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Welcoming all our viewers back onto International Affairs. We are joined in the studio with Dr. Khosrow Sabat, as we also have Norman Floyd Barnes joining us right now. I want to pass and go on with Norman Floyd Barnes. So much is happening around the world that I really need you to comment. Let me read out some of the news which would be making it easier for you to understand where we are. The Pentagon is urging U.S. defense firms to accelerate weapons production amid depleting stocks. The directive comes as Iran war depletes key U.S. munition stocks, including Patriot THAAD interceptors, according to the Washington Post. Also, that U.S. President Donald Trump is saying that he's going to have immigration actions on birthright citizenship, something that the Supreme Court rejected previously as well, upholding a broad conception of the birthright citizenship. On the other hand, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan and Turkey emerges into a military cooperation between the three. Really, it will be turning heads in the leadership of Israel, because in the last 3 or 4 months, there was times when Benjamin Netanyahu and the leader of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has shared inflammatory comments. So this comes in as the world reels from the aftermath, the after effects of the Iran, US and Israel war. I want to pass it to Norman Floyd Barnes. What are some of the updates? How are you, and how are you assessing this kind of situation? Norman.
Yes, good morning here from Washington, D.C. Today is actually tomorrow will be a critical day here in Washington. Today is Sunday. Turkey, Pakistan, And the situation with Israel has now changed a little bit. Now there's a pact between Pakistan, Turkey to defend itself. Pakistan and Turkey are saying that it's not geared towards anything against Iran. It's geared towards basically protecting their interests in the region, and basically that translate into Israel. Israel. They're looking at what Israel can do, or is planning to do, or intended to do. So now the situation has changed, has flipped from just a U.S. and Israeli aggression in the area. Now the other regions, the other parts of the region is now talking. Now, we know Turkey is a NATO country, strong NATO country. Now the focus is on self-defense. So there's a conversations going on about the region. What is happening, what can happen. And my analysis that there's something planning to happen. We're getting very close to our midterms. So our administration, our president has to do something to show that, for the last since January, we have done something, made some progress. So the strong indicators that there will be some type of action, military action, taken in the region. What that means is that Iran will have a response to that military action, most likely to neighboring countries. So Pakistan and Turkey has talked to other countries, and they are now talking about how they can prepare for this situation. So something is happening. Something is ready, getting ready to happen. I predict that the U.S. president will make a decision to go with some type of stronger military action that will cause a elicit response to the region, to the rest of the Middle East. I have no idea how intense it's going to be, but it looks like the war is going to intensify. It looks like something is on that because we're going too long. We're going to a point. There's talk about gasoline prices in the United States accelerating $6, moving up to $6. And that is going to happen before the midterms. So things are accelerating, the cost going up, and our administration here is pressured now to do something. They don't know exactly what they want to do and how they're going to do it, but right now the option is the military one has to do something to show the public that we are relevant in the area and Iran is not controlling us. The straight thing with Oman and Iran, it looks like there's going to be some type of agreement about a co-dependent, control of the area. The issue is the United States. So the pressure is if they come together with this agreement, they're going to pressure the point that, hey, we have decided to internally do something about the region, but we need America to get out the region. So the pressure is going to be on the other countries to get with America and say, hey, you need to get out the area because if you don't, we're going to suffer. There's going to be more consequences. And we're looking for this escalation to spread. So we are now looking at a backdoor situation, a what if going to happen, but what if something is going to happen, a military, some type of response going to happen, and it could be catastrophic of nature. We're looking at that point, looking at mass casualties, because now we're at a point where we can't go back, we can't stay where we at, so something has to move forward. So we can't continue this period of I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. Now things are happening, things going to happen. Something has to happen. Somebody got to push the button. So either Iran accelerates it or the United States accelerates it, but there will be action. And Israel is right in the middle, and Israel will be affected by this. That's what's happening today. The conversation about the next level. And we can anticipate something this week.
Right. Very interesting statements coming from Norman Floyd Barnes. There is a story that actually adds up to what you were saying regarding price per barrel increasing to $6 in the United States. That is because the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff Chairman General Dan Kane is very concerned as he is sharing and he's looking for a exit route, a diplomatic exit route to end the war with Iran. On the other side, Channel 13 of Israel says that it will maintain a military posture and it will continue attacks on Iran without U.S. involvement and is preparing for the possibility of carrying out these unilateral strikes against Iran if the war between Washington and Tehran ends. That technically means that if both Iran and the U.S. were to come to a dialogue table, Israel would continue its aggression upon Iran. And of course, Dan Kane, a senior-most personnel of the U.S. military, is speaking with CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Vice President J.D. Vance, all because there have been severe risks associated with military options that could lead to further escalation, and let alone the midterm elections are just around the corner. As I was talking to Norman, now I want to turn to Dr. Khosrow Samad. You see that the general in charge of the U.S. military is now taking a step back, trying to wonder how other options may play out. On the other side, regional developments between Iran and Oman have accelerated. Both nations are in agreement in order to open the strait. However, Iran wants concessions, permanent concessions from the U.S. that such untoward situation will not happen. So it's still agree to disagree kind of situation in the Middle East. How do you see this, especially because of the position of the U.S. Army General?
Okay, I got your point. Let us see what is the level of the Trump, even in the White House. Trump proposed to incorporate a ballroom.
$400 million ballroom.
Right. Ballroom in the White House, okay, it is his choice. The president can at least remobilize his house. Apparently, we think. At least it is his home. He can renovate. And it is in their culture, ballroom. So we cannot say, we cannot deny. This is their matter, absolutely their matter. But what we see, it was not accepted to the other policy maker. Ultimately, the file is put up. It is not applied. Apparently, that is not accepted. Only one room is not accepted for the couple of the dollars to the policymakers. You see, the $1 trillion has already been, in the war, already been exhausted. And the output we have seen. And there is no signal, there is no military clue that there is a very near future the war will be stopped. And if the hypothetical war is stopped, we cannot recover the money. So the military and the US is going to focus a big economic recessions. And everybody knows and is there in the threat. As a normal human being, as a voter, they are facing each and every troubles. As Norman says, all the prices become higher. And we have said already. So this is that tremendous influences. So they are military generals. They are in the battlefield. They know the military tactics, military law, military invasion, and the fate, and the prices, which is supposed to be exhausted. If it is taking in a balance, one is the expenditure and one is the image of the USA. You are saying very nicely how to exit. That is the questions. After that, the football game, the question, yes, who has defeated, who has won, it is finalized up to the end of the last whistle blown. Same, what will be happen? It will be last whistle blown to the Iran's fate and the American fate.
Right.
Yes, we can go back to the many history in the what happened, especially in the Afghanistan. We saw the last plane.
And the people trying to
see the fate. Very funny and having the message of the military invasions of the USA. But we do not know what the lesson did they learn from the Afghanistan. Same thing happened in the Vietnam in the 1970s. Vietnam is uncultured. Apparently, substandard, militarily poorly divided. It was possible to them to make it the northern part and the southern part, put on a puppet government.
Right.
And the war continued for more than 30 years. But they are yet to any solution. Ultimately, they defeated. So, exit was not professionally or militarily welcomed. Same thing might be happened in the in the Russia and Ukraine. 5 years has gone. Apparently, people think Russia, yes, is a very big country having a tremendous military superpower, and on the other hand, Ukraine becomes a very small power. But what happened? We come to we have discussed a lot that it becomes a NATO-based country. NATO giving a lot of these supports, military supports, economical supports, and others. And for the Russia is really Ukraine is needed. The geographically 1/3 portion is unopened. Still there is barren lands. So if someone says they are occupying the lands, from my personal view as a military thinker, I really do not agree. Same thing happens actually. So this is the message actually. Message is that safe exit is a very hard job for the bad purposes.
Right, and excellent response, especially regarding the safe exit or an exit route from away from this war. It is not just this year, even last year we've seen a massive ordnance bomb striking the nuclear facilities, mostly energy facilities of Iran, and that was it for that matter in 2025. But this year it has taken the shape of a regional conflict, of a regional escalation, and there is news that is coming out of the US CENTCOM and its chief, who has visited in Israel for the talks on Iran. This is, of course, Chief General Brad Cooper paying a visit to Israel, holding talks with senior military officials such as the Israeli Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, and other military officials, according to state broadcaster Khan News Agency. So, just again, the US CENTCOM has definitely communicated with Israeli forces. The news, as it suggests, feel that there may be an impending attack upon Iran, and that might start anytime this week. And that is very precise, as Norman was stating. And I want to pass it to him, as he has a very important point as well. Norman.
Yes, this situation in the region is very changeable. It's changing. It's accelerating. Obviously, if you've seen the conversation with Saudi, Pakistan, and Turkey, they are having back-channel conversations. These conversations have been going on for a long period of time. So now they are bracing. They're bracing for the next act. So they have already communicated with the United States. The United States has basically given them the options. It's basically a timeline now. Because of the economic impact, what's going on, and because of the geopolitical impact here in the United States and the rest of the world, the United States is now faced with a dilemma of when, where, and how they're going to respond and deal with this. Part of that could be an exit plan, a transfer of responsibility to Israel, a transfer of responsibility to the new pact with Saudi, Pakistan, and Turkey. These are strong countries. They have a military route. So something has happened. That new pact came together for a reason. It wasn't just we decided we're going to come together and we're going to defend ourselves, whatever. It was done with precision. It was done with a impact, and there's been conversation back channel on exactly how this thing going to play out. To what effect that happened, we don't know, but the United States is prepared to do a exit strategy, a process. We are now politically in a situation where something has to be done. Some impact has to show, some improvements, some gains have to be made before the midterms. If not, we're going to see a terrible situation in terms of geopolitically of the United States, how our government is ran, and it will stagnate, it will impact, it will paralyze how we affect our foreign policy and how the United States runs. So it would be a very difficult situation. That itself will not stop the aggression, what's going on with Iran and the situation with Ukraine. It will accelerate the situation, NATO, other regions. So it will be I call it a catastrophic event occurring geopolitically, because other places are now preparing for the shock. We know there's going to be a hit, and they are making plans, and they are basically in a situation. We're not going to sit here and wait to get hit. We're going to put ourselves together to defend ourselves, and we may take the first step. So we're leading to now a worldwide confrontation in the region, in the part of the country, and the world is now getting to the point. And all of this will happen before our midterm. So these actions will have effect on
exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
they will face better projects.
With President
that oil refineries and oil fields are now also a target and a legitimate target for any kind of foreign power when they think of a warlike mindset. And it's not just big countries in the Middle East that have been talking together. The foreign ministers of Jordan and Bahrain, Ayman Safadi and Abdul Latif Al-Zayani, have been discussing to restore regional calm. It's a move by the smaller countries in the region geographically, as I'm saying, as they are also planning to see what kind of views can be exchanged because of the mutual concern. And ways to strengthen the joint Arab efforts were also exchanged between the leaders. It's time for a short commercial break. Afterwards, we will be drawing a comparison here in Bangladesh. It is going through a geopolitical storm across the region as well. It will be up for discussion. But before that, we must go for a short commercial break. Do stay tuned for more on this very program.
and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Pantho.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen,
really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
they will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem.
Welcoming our viewers back onto the very last segment of International Affairs. Of course, we were talking about the Middle East, how the world leaders are reacting to the possibility of renewed strikes between the various countries, how even small nations such as Jordan and Bahrain are coming out to discuss the regional tensions. However, in this segment, we should focus on what is going on in Bangladesh's geopolitical stance. I want to begin with an example. The Syrian ousted leader Bashar al-Assad had been ousted and he had sought political refuge in Russia. And of course, Ahmed al-Shara, the current leader, is running Syria. But we do not see Bashar al-Assad giving any kind of statement while being in Russia in order to cause any kind of disruption in the governance of Syria. However, in this aspect, I want to bring in Bangladesh. August 5th has just gone by last week, and we have seen that the ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina had come on to live talk in which she had proposed a speech. She is planning on coming to Bangladesh end of the year. However, the foreign ministry in Bangladesh has written a letter to India just for this kind of remark, why she should be allowed from a foreign land to say anything for that matter that may also hamper the bilateral relations between Bangladesh and India. Of course, as per Prathomalo English here in Bangladesh, the title reads, Prime Minister almost certain not to attend BRICS summit. I want to get a comment from Khosrow Samad before I can go to Norman. How do you see this? As I drew a comparison between both of these ousted leaders, what is the problem here in South Asia?
Well, I totally disagree of your examples. Disagree in the mean of the questions which comes. The worst, both ethically, legally, geopolitically, as a Muslim, as a human being, why? Since our inceptions of Bangladesh, it was proved time and time again the role of the India is not only attitude of the big brother. They tortured us a lot in the different ways. And as we say, there are a lot of the raw agents. It is agents. It was proved time and time again. What happened in the Falani, we saw. What happened in the Farakka barrage, we saw the attempt and the policy to occupy the Rangpur division by the ex-military officio. They have given some examples. After the killing of 1975, there are some hooligans went to the India having the military trained, and they again come and they attacked of the police barrage. And I can give you the lot of the series of the after effect seen after the inception. Now, what happened in this time that we all know that in this 1936, as we said, in the August Revolution, Sheikh Hasina went there. We thought initially she might go to any Muslim countries. It was supposed to be. But which was the observation that they have the extreme linkage between the previous fascist and the India. She proved. Parallelly, India also proved they are the good patron of the fascisms. Because not only Sheikh Hasina invaded, there are a lot of the professional killers, professional murderers, professional hooligans. We can give you the series of the list. It is also published in the newspapers, electronics and print media. Then those who are her supporters in the army, in the police, in the diplomats, in the different spheres of the peoples, and most of the MP member of the parliaments, more or less 300s and others, they also fled away.
Right.
Okay, they can flee away. Hypothetically, it may be accepted. Then what happened? They're the refugees, apparently. So they ask for the asylum, as we say in the many countries, as you give the previous examples. So they are oppressed. The language, we are oppressed. Our life is risk in the previous country. So give us the asylum. We'll remain till our ensuring our life. Then give us the food and shelter. This much may be accepted. But sitting at the other's neighbor's chair, having the full security, which is very expensive, and it is said that India did not give any security throughout his inception, as fascist is benefited by the security. Not only her security, her other family members also giving the same security. It's very expensive as a military leader, as I know, and technically it is also very risky. Now, it was told from the many times from the Bangladesh, what happened? Send back to our citizen. There is the existing law of the state, have the honor of the state. She having the full right to defend herself. She can prove that the allegations which brought to her, these are correct, excuse me, these are not correct, or the series of the events. So she will be freed, no problem, but face the law to the country, excuse me. And if it will be accepted, all on a sudden, if Hasina give any declaration without knowing the Indian government, it may be accepted. But keep a specific date, specific using specific technology, having the not acceptable words, agitating, showing the agitations of her followers, giving the ornamental words, false and fabricated terminology. This really hurts the emotion, sentiment of the Mugdho and other suppressors of the children.
1,400 people, those who were killed.
So it is not at all accepted. Still time is there. From a citizen, I plea that India should cut a sorry figure and Sheikh Hasina must be returned home, and having the existing law of the state, she might face the legal aspect.
Of course, excellent statements from Dr. Samad, really regarding the current geopolitical tension between the two nations, India and Bangladesh. Even as last November, the 17th, 2025, I read out what happened here at the International Crimes Tribunal, which sentenced Sheikh Hasina in absentia. And of course, if she does come back at the end of the year, there will be the rule of law shall be established once again, or as we like to see in a progressive nation. Just to get a comment from Norman Floyd Barnes, really, I started this segment by comparing Bashar al-Assad to ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and the comparison is very similar. However, our neighbor India has a very precarious position. You know, they have been reeling from protests by calling their young generation cockroaches. So that is nowhere acceptable. Just to get an overall vision from you, how you see the politics of this region, Norman.
Yes, the politics of the region, particularly South Asia, the Indian position is very unique, to the point that they are providing asylum for the former Sheikh Hasina, and the idea now that she feels that it's okay and necessary for her to come back to her country. However, the world has moved on. They have, the Bangladesh has made its decision. The youth has made their move. Just like the cockroaches in India, the Bangladesh community is moving forward. The attempt by her to come back, for what reason? She has been convicted of a crime. She has left the country. The country has made a new election. They put together a new country and is in the process of making change, make new things happen. Her coming back will only aggravate, will delay, and will impact the growth of the country. The country needs to move forward. She needs to make a decision on exactly if she really loves the country, let it be. Let the country grow, let it prosper, and she move on with her life. But if there's internal corruption, she represents the past. The future is now. The generation, Gen Zs, the cockroach period, the period of the new world is moving forward. Everything is moving forward. There's no going back. We have the same problem here in the United States. We want to go back. Go back to what? There's nothing to go back to. So that concept of coming back is not relevant. It will be counterproductive. It will be destruction. It will delay the growth of the country. So if the former leader loves the country, she would do what's best for the country, leave it alone, let it grow, and move on with life.
Right. Very excellent statement coming from Norman Floyd Barnes. I thank you for joining on the program all the way from Washington, D.C. Very early in the morning. exceptional performance there as well. As I thank Major Dr. Khosrow Sabad with your contributions, your views, insights regarding international and national issues. I want to end today's program by wishing Singapore its 61st National Day, as on this very day is being celebrated as National Day in the island nation of Singapore. It will mark the country's independence and sovereignty as a democratic republic, which began by UMNO diminishing them in 1965. Of course, Lawrence Wong, the Prime Minister, shall be holding a national message to reflect on the past progress and future goals. With that being stated, I am Shamsul Alam Pantho signing out on International Affairs.